Ladies and gentlemen, the Supreme Court judgment on same-sex marriage is a milestone for LGBTQ rights in India. Though same-sex marriage is not yet legalized, the top court has emphasized on the separation of powers and has made it clear that Parliament must decide and legislate on the issue. There is therefore a very long road ahead for LGBTQ rights in India, but this is a step forward. Before we debate, here are the highlights of the Supreme Court's verdict today.
10 days of marathon hearings in Supreme Court.
The first argument is whether or not it is invalid, it goes to even existence, or whether it is only an irregularity or a curable defect. I'll come to that later, but assuming it is the worst.
And now, in a step forward towards LGBTQ rights, Supreme Court has put the onus on Parliament to legislate on the issue.
Whether a change should be brought into the legislative regime of the SMA is for Parliament to determine. Parliament has access to varied sources of information and represents in itself a diversity of viewpoints in the polity. The court, in the exercise of the power of judicial review, must be careful not to tread into the legislative domain. It is clarified that this court has not adjudicated upon the validity of any laws other than the SMA, the FMA, the adoption regulations, and the CARA circular.
There were 4 judgments by the 5-judge bench with a degree of disagreement. But there was unanimity on the issue that queerness is neither an urban or elitist concept.
The discussion in this segment has not scratched the surface of the rich history of the lives of LGBTQ persons in India, which continue into the present. Yet even the limited exploration of the literature and reportage on the subject makes it abundantly clear that homosexuality or queerness is not solely an urban concept, nor is it restricted to the upper classes of privileged communities. Urban centers are themselves geographically and socially divided along the lines of class, religion, and caste, and not all those who live in cities can be termed elite merely by virtue of their residence in cities.
Supreme Court has noted that Centre will form a high-powered panel to examine the rights of the community.
Legal consequences such as succession rights, maintenance, financial benefits such as under the Income Tax Act 1961, rights flowing from employment such as gratuity and family pension and insurance. The report of the committee chaired by the Cabinet Secretary shall be implemented at the administrative level by the Union Government and the governments of the states and the Union Territories.
The balanced judgment of Supreme Court was largely received positively.
First step towards, the right of marriage and equal status and equal citizenship to this beautiful and brave community. And I see this as the first step. At least 2 of the 5 judges have recognized the right of a civil union, which I think means a lot to the whole community. Of course, overall, the community would be disheartened.
The statements that were made, and it again put the onus on the central government and the state government to legislate laws, to get in laws to recognize same-sex relationships. That is the need of the hour, and if there is any state government or a central government person who is working in that favor, I think it will do a great deal of good as well.
If one person adopts a child as a single parent and then enters into a partnership or is already in a partnership, right? Then the other person who does the work of parenting must get the same parental rights, and there is an opportunity here.
Solicitor General Tushar Mehta said that same-sex marriage judgment balances individual interest with society interest, gives an important understanding on the question of separation of powers, and provides insight into the working of Parliament, Executive and Judiciary as per the Constitution. With a step taken towards LGBTQ rights, India has a long way to go before same-sex marriage rights are legalized. Let's debate.